Do is come here live in my garage gym each morning and discuss fitness and finance. A little under the weather this morning. A little tickle in my throat and who knows what, but we're going to push through it. That's okay. And we're going to talk about the 5 different ways you can make money in notes today. Excuse me. Excuse me. My daughter had a little cough and I think she went ahead and passed it to me. You know how that goes, but that's all right. We're going to do pulling exercises today. My shows in the morning from 6:45 to 8 a.m. are designed to be a live Q&A, interactive, where we can participate with one another in motivation and education in the physical fitness and financial fitness areas of our lives. And today we're going to do some pulling exercises. Today we're going to do some back and some biceps and things like that, some shoulders and some traps, pretty much pulling things towards us is what we're going to be doing today. And we're going to talk about the 5 different ways where we can make money in the paper side of real estate. The paper side of real estate is the mortgage note investing business, where we go after investing into the paper and not the property. So a little different take, but one of the best investment vehicles I've ever seen in my life. And so I just talk about the 5 ways that somebody can monetize that. If you're just hopping in, say hello. It's designed to be interactive. Uh, basically a Q&A where I can just help people grow physically or financially. We are in day 32, I believe. I got to look at the calendar, but it's somewhere around day 31, 32 of the 60-day six-pack challenge. So giving ourselves 60 days, starting 32 days ago, we've been giving ourselves 60 days to really challenge ourselves and try to better our diet and our workout routine and those kind of things to see if we really concentrate real hard, how much progress fitness wise can somebody make in 60 days time. And so we're in the middle of that. We talking a little bit about those things today. The drink I drink in the morning. I know my one of my viewers, Andy, knows exactly what I'm talking about. But the drink mixture I drink in the morning, and just some of the foods and things like that is okay to talk about because we're seeing some really good progress, y'all. Wait till more people jump on here and some of my regulars, but I will mention my weight, what it was this morning. I finally did weigh myself this morning, and it's really looking good. It's really looking good. The progress is happening. The progress is happening. So a lot of people know I was crazy enough to think, well, why not? Let's challenge myself. I'm 46 years old. Let's challenge myself to try to get six-pack abs, like when I was 19. And it's harder than it looks. When we get a little bit older, metabolism slows down. And, like my wife likes to say, well, you had 25 years of horrible habits. Do you think it's going to change that quickly? And I'm like, well, I want it to. But, I've been 2 years in the gym, 7 years now as a full-time investor. So we just like to talk about it, man. I like to talk about getting people physically fit, financially fit. I think people who are physically fit and financially fit have things a bit easier in life. It makes life a little bit easier. Say muscles and money ain't everything, but a fit body and fit body and a fit or a fat pocketbook, however you want to put it, it is always good. So I know we got some people popping up. I see we have a participant on here, so don't be afraid to say hi. Good morning. We'll get the gym set up here so we can actually do some working outs. But pulling exercises today, and I think I'm gonna start with like bent over rows. Don't ask me why, but I think we go to bent over rows. Those are kind of like where you're bent over and you're using a bar to pull up to you like this. But we'll do some bent over rows to begin things with. We'll do some lateral raises, and we'll get right to it. But we're also talking about the 5 ways to make money in note investing today. So, what do you think those are? I'd be curious to see. What do you think? What do you think the first? What do you think the first way I'm going to mention? The first way to make money in note investing. I'm curious to see what you're going to say. Curious to see what you think. Let me get this over here for you, right quick. All right. My buddy said yesterday he was on here and it was just thinking and it was thinking. And I said it wouldn't let him in. And it's because I had popped off real quick to text some people the link to the call. So sorry about that for yesterday's pause. But I was inviting a couple people to the show. Ah. Which because there's one person on here right now, but you haven't said anything, Mr. or Mrs. One Person, so I really don't know who you are. I don't know who you are on here, so say hi. But just to let you know, I'll be right back. It's gonna think for a while. The screen's gonna turn black just for a minute. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send this link out to the show to a few different people. So that usually come on here. So hang on tight. There we go. There we go. I knew it would do that. All right. There we go. Now we going to be in the mix. Now we are good. Do, 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 do. Beautiful, beautiful. Love. All right. All right. That should have helped. That should have helped things move right along. So sorry about the pause. Sorry about the break. I actually forgot to. I forgot to send the link out to anybody this morning, and since I wasn't showing up on the homepage there for a while because I got put in YouTube jail after I went to the Masters and I came back. I got put in YouTube jail, and so yeah, dude, it's kind of funky. So I have to like send it out. Yesterday, Bethany said that it showed up in her homepage for the first time since I went to the Masters. So I don't know. Maybe YouTube might be coming around. Who knows, man? Dexter, what's up, brother? Streeper, what's up, brother? Absolutely cool to have you guys here. Love y'all. Absolutely. Streeper, hard at work. I know. Streeper's fixing something. Dexter, headed to Texas. Good old Texas. Everything's bigger over there. Well, good luck on that road trip. I know Dex is busting his butt driving around the country this week. Streeper, I'm sure you're working hard like all of us gents do. Um, but yeah, anyways, we're gonna do some pulling exercises today. So check this out. Really cool info. Probably gonna have to repeat this a bunch of times. Yeah, Dexter's got his spurs on his boots. That's so funny. Encore Patel. Patrick, appreciate you getting our mind and bodies prepared daily to conquer. Oh, Encore Patel. That's so nice of you, sir. If you guys all don't know, Encore, that's my buddy Core. He's one of my best friends on the planet, man. We hang out usually almost daily with that guy. So welcome in. Encore Patel. Thank you for joining the show this morning. Very much appreciate you. I don't know why. He's Indian, but he doesn't talk Indian. I just like to mess with him. Don't you guys mess around a little bit more like Josh or like, poke with or whatever, what's the right terminology I'm looking for? But, you know, joke around a little more than normal with buddies that are really tight, good friends, I feel like you can give them a little more shit than you normally would. Yeah, because, they're the best. Now, now to it though. Check this out. It was crazy. I went on the scale this morning and I have like totally forgotten to go on the scale and weigh myself in a couple of days. I just haven't done it. But good news, man. We're killing it. The challenge is starting to do its work, man. This 60-day six-pack challenge I got myself into. Um, dude, I went from 172 down to 162. 162 as of this morning, man. 172 pounds down to 162 pounds. And thankfully, I haven't lost too much of my muscle mass while doing the cut. So, good news, guys. The hard work's paying off with the diet and the regimen and things like that. Um, It's working amazingly. It's amazing what happens when you change your habits, how quickly your body will change to the new habits. It's really wild. Yeah. So, what we're going to do today on exercises, while we talk about the 5 different ways to make some loot in note investing, is we're going to be doing pulling exercises today. I don't like to do pulling exercises on Fridays because I golf every Saturday morning. You guys know that. And uh, I don't want to be sore. It's much harder to play golf when you're really sore. Uh, and I've been having these kind of like golf elbow problems and things like that. So we chill a little bit out on pulling things on Fridays. So we got Happy Thursday, and we're gonna do some pulling exercises, and we're gonna crush it. But you guys think that's a cool thing to talk about, or have I already beat the dead horse on that one? I just think it's a cool thing to talk about because there's 5 different ways you can make money with mortgage notes, not just investing in one. Um, yeah, not just investing in one. Investing in one, you would have to have your own money. That's only one way to do it. So we could talk about the 5 ways to make money in notes, if that's cool with you guys, or we could talk about anything else. If somebody else has another subject, you guys really are the show. Okay, I'm just here to work out and get in better shape and offer any value that I can. Since the Q&A hasn't been so crazy lately, because YouTube put me in like YouTube jail or whatever, so we just don't have a lot of participants on here. So we haven't been getting a lot of questions from you guys. So I'm always having to come with some sort of a subject, if you know what I'm saying. Today, the subject I would talk about is 5 ways that you can make money with notes. You let me know if that's something that you'd want me to talk about, or maybe you just have something else on your mind that you want me to go over today. But we will talk the 60-day six-pack challenge. We're in day 32 or 33, 32, I think. I don't even know. I don't even know at this point, but I'll have to look back at the records. But we've broke past the halfway point with the 60-day six-pack challenge. It's really working. It's really working well. Better than expected, actually. The results are starting to be awesome. I know Bethany's lost like 5 or 6 pounds. NJ, who comes on here in Wyoming's lost like 5 pounds, 6 pounds, whatever it may be. Andy, who you guys know who comes on here, oftentimes has lost some weight. Um, Everybody's slimming down, man. Everybody's starting to feel more energetic and more clear headed with this 60-day six-pack challenge. So it's really, really cool. Very fulfilling that I'm not the only one having any type of success with it. It's all the other folks that have followed along with me and been crazy enough to be motivated a little bit by me, right? All right. Little warm up, get the blood flowing. The 5 ways, yes. Okay. So I know Bethany said, you know what you get paid monthly on a note with amortized schedule when you get into a note, but is there a calculator you can use for a rough idea before getting into a note? I've been gaining weight, 5 pounds, want to gain another 15. Streeper, you're going from skinny to buff or skinny to thick. Is that what you're doing? I've never really been able to meet you or see you much, Streeper. Maybe just a little bit on social media. But are you a skinny guy? You're trying to get thicker, more muscles? Yup, yup. Yeah, that's cool, dude. Food. Yeah, food. Food. So you should probably be eating what? About 2,500 to probably 3,000 calories a day. How tall are you, dude? Like 6 foot? How tall are you? And I know you're busy too, Streep. I know sometimes you're working and stuff like that. At the same time, it's tough to type conversation to me. I wish sometimes people could like unmute on Zoom and we could just talk for a second. Uh 5'10"? Yeah, okay, cool. 5'10", and what were you weighing in at? Were you like the 5'10", 130-pound kind of a guy? Which I have some buddies that are like that. Oh, it's okay, Andy. I know you're in a meeting, buddy. It's okay, buddy. I know you're in a meeting. Thanks for coming in, Andy, though. We were talking about the great success. I'm gonna mention it here in a sec because we got some other people popping on. But yup. I get you, Streeper. Totally good, all good, bro. I get you. Matter of fact, I don't know if you'd believe me or not, but before my fat time, before my beer bellied fat time in life, I was always really skinny. I was always really skinny, and I always wanted to be buff. I always wanted to have arms that would like fill out a shirt sleeve, and I always wanted to look. I just looked like a skinny little twerp for sure. And it's not good when you're skinny and you're my height either. I'm only 5'7", so when you walk in a short toothpick, you ain't you ain't demanding much respect in a room, right? Um, as a matter of fact, I'd make you laugh a little bit. Um, I'll make you laugh a little bit. In high school, in high, in high school, I won the um, in high school I won the league powerlifting competition. Right, won the league powerlifting competition for the whole high school league, and I benched 255 pounds then. But, the interesting part of that story is not the whole cool, "Ooh, look at me, I won a thing or bench 255." I'm just saying, I won the thing in my weight class. I won the whole school district weightlifting championship, uh, you know, f what, 3 years in a row or 4 years in a row, I do believe. But the reason why is because I was putting up that kind of weight. It was only 255. There was people benching 400 pounds at my high school, but it was my weight class that did it. I benched 255 in the final weightlifting championship. I put up 255 on bench and I weighed 119 pounds, I think is what I weighed in at. The weight class was 121 pounds and under. And I remember barely made it. I think I was 119.7, something like that. But I weighed 120 pounds, man. Um, but from like about freshman in high school, where I probably was just a skinny little twerp. I started to go to zero period weights is what I did. I started to go to zero period weights before school started with like the jocks and the football team and the big buff dudes and all those guys. And so I decided to get my little twerpy butt in zero period weights. And I took zero period weights all 4 years in a row and started playing high school sports and started lifting outside of zero period weights, like at Frog's gym with my old buddies after school and stuff like that. So I really started to try to lift weights uh, to add on a bunch of volume. So if you can get some weights, if you don't have any yet, gym membership or weights as well, that'll really help, Streeps. That'll really help. Um, a guy like you should be getting about 165 or so grams of protein in every day. So get yourself a good, clean protein powder because you're working a lot too. Yeah, Dexter, calisthenics if you don't have a lot of good weightlifting equipment, push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups and those kinds of things if no one has any equipment. Yeah, calisthenics, that works because you're lifting weight. Your body is weight. Okay. But I would stick to Streeper the diet of about 2,300 to 2,500 calories a day. I would try to keep those calories really clean, a lot of natural foods if you can, and I would make sure that you look at your protein that you're eating each day, and I would eat at least 170 grams of protein. Yeah, get some weights on Marketplace, dude. Bench press your wife. Oh man, that's bench press your wife. That's kind of funny. Um, yeah, so don't bench press your wife, dude. We don't want her to fall down and get an owie because you drop her or something like that. We don't want you to drop her on top of you, get you an owie. But no one needs a bonk on the head. So don't do that. Dexter, I could see Dexter trying to do that though, bench pressing some gal. I don't know why I can envision that, Dexter, and then struggling and not being able to put her up. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm just playing. But all right, cool. Andy's in the mix. Great, great, great. Dexter's in the mix. We got Streepers in the mix. So that's what I would do, man. Do 2,500 calories a day. Work out 5 days a week. I don't care if you get home and you're tired. Still work out. You got to do 100 push-ups a day, no matter what. So do that. No, 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 no. And you don't need to, Streeper. You really don't need to, bro. So Streeper is saying that, crappy part is a lot of food he can't eat, only steak and chicken with minimum sides. No, that's good, dude. But like when you're eating steak, you look at when you're eating steak, don't get filet mignon, get ribeye, right? Filet mignon's a leaner piece of meat, and ribeye has more fat to it, right? You know, I would be eating a lot of eggs if you can. I don't know if you're allergic to eggs or whatever. Are you allergic to eggs? But there are what you find what you can eat, right? And then get in there a protein powder like Naked Protein. I use the brand Naked. Don't get nasty, Dexter. But I use the Naked Protein powder just because it's clean ingredients. Um, it doesn't have all the bad crap in it. But yeah, get yourself a good protein powder like Naked Protein powder. Yeah, you're going to eat a lot of eggs. You're probably going to eat 6 to 10 eggs a day. Um, oh, you got chickens soon? Yeah, that's dope. Dude, get chickens. Chickens produce eggs, aren't isn't that awesome? So, but yeah, you're gonna probably eat a lot of eggs, 6 to 12 eggs a day or 6 to 10 eggs a day. You'll eat a lot of meats. Meats are good for you, but try to get cuts of meat that are like higher in fat content. And you don't need all those carbs, you need high protein. The protein is what will build protein and fats. So go low carb protein and fats. Just do protein and fats, protein and fats. Be thinking about foods like sweet potatoes for your carbs or regular potatoes for your carbs. Um, you know, basically like potatoes, rice, and fruit is what I'd be on if I were you. Potatoes, rice, and fruit. Fruit I'd be using for my sweet tooth, especially at night too, like a couple slices of watermelon or 2 slices of cantaloupe or something at 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night is like the dessert. Um, I would do that, but hit 170 grams of protein minimum daily and do like we've done, Streeper. Put yourself on like a plan of the foods you're gonna eat and the maintaining your idea of how much protein you're getting each day. You can put those into an app. The app that we use is called MyFitnessPal. So you can download an app. They have free versions that'll calculate your foods. So I would do that, brother. Sirloin, also a more thinner piece of meat. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, but any of that is, but I'm just trying to tell you how to get in more calories so you can hit like a 2,500 calorie point without having to eat so much food throughout the day that you just feel so stuffed and sluggish. But so try 2,500 calories a day, 170 grams of protein minimum. Don't need the carbs, just do the fats. And you can use fruit. Um, and you can use fruit. Oh, I thought we were done with those meetings, Andy. That's why I didn't show up this morning. I was awake. I could have shown up to the meeting, but I thought we were done with those meetings. So my bad. That's why I didn't show up today. So yeah, Streeper, do that, bro, and then start to do like an hour workout 5 days a week. And in the hour workout in the beginning, you're just getting yourself to work out every day. Doesn't even matter what the workout is. It just matters that you get yourself to do it and get into the routine of every day. And in a couple of weeks, we'll talk about really upping your workouts and really starting to focus your workouts on parts of the body that you'd like to get to grow and things like that. But just to start putting on weight and putting on thickness and we want to get you to look more jacked, right? You're tired of being the skinny dude. Let's go. You don't got to be skinny dude. So within the next 6 months, I promise you can be jacked. You can be jacked, and people will say, "Whoa, dude, you'll get to weigh in 160 and you'll look all jacked." People say, "What have you been doing, man?" And this is just stick to 2,500 calories a day, stick to 170 grams of protein minimum every single day. Just eat that way. Low carbs, higher fats. And then start busting those weights, bro. Your body will respond. Make sure you're getting the 170 grams of protein every day. Trust me, man. You will grow. You will grow. You'll blow away in the wind. 10 push-ups every hour. Set a timer on your iPhone. Yeah, these are just ways to do things and be habitual about these exercises to make sure you're really getting it in. Um, for me, I'm always out and about. I'm at the office. I'm on a Zoom call. I'm doing this and that. So I wouldn't be able to set an alarm and do 10 push-ups every hour. That's why I've chosen to get down here in the gym in my garage early in the mornings before the family gets up and just knock it out. So maybe you get up a little bit early and knock it out before you go to work. Maybe it's right when you get home from work, you knock it out before you sit down, relax, and do whatever's. Um, just pick your schedule that works for you, right? Pick your schedule that works for you. So there you go. That's your pointer today, Streeps. And I promise you this, brother. If you do that and you stick to that, I promise you this, bro. In 6 months, you'll weigh 160 pounds, 165 pounds, and people will be saying, "What have you been doing, man? You're looking all buff and stuff." 100%. Which really does start to be a good feeling, by the way, because the first month or two, you're like starting to get into diet and workout. You may notice the difference because you're noticing your better habits, you're noticing your better diet, you're noticing, but you're not seeing the results quite yet. But dude, after like 6 months of really hard work, when somebody walks up to you, bro, that known you, or somebody at work goes, "Bro, what have you been doing, man? You look jacked, you look buff, and all that." It does start to make you feel good. It's really working. It's really working. And when you start to get that kind of positive feedback of the hard work you've put in and the results it's actually achieving, then it becomes far easier to make this stuff like a lifetime habit. Okay. Some of those habits just stick. All of a sudden, you're going to work out every day, 5 days a week for like the rest of your life until you're too old to do so, right? Or you're going to eat that way because that's just the way you eat. And when you start to eat, or when you start to go to like the piece of cake, or when you start to go to whatever, it doesn't feel good that you're eating it. So like it becomes a part of you, right? Super dope. Um, do the 5 points sounds interesting. Yeah, sorry, I was just helping Streeps a little bit. He wants to go from skinny to jacked. He doesn't want to blow away in the wind no more. So we're getting him some plans to do that. So I'm sorry you're getting impatient, but you just got here, Andy. You know, give me a break, man. I'm just kidding you. Taylor's in. What's up, Taylor? So yeah, cool deal is this, Taylor. We're gonna be able to market the program here where folks that are interested in learning more about note investing can pop on here. And all they have to do is put up with my blab like Andy is and put up with my working out and getting buffer because I don't want to be skinny no more, neither. Uh, but they can ask questions about note investing and we'll go over it. So we'll get right to it, Andy. Let me take the sweatshirt off. It was cold this morning, but now I'm gonna get all hot. So the sweatshirt got to come off and we'll get right to it. Oh. So did the old haircut and beard trim. Did the old haircut and beard trim yesterday. So we're all shortened up, spiked up. So the these little microphones too, by the way, just to bother Andy some more since I'm not getting to my subject, but dude, these little microphones right here, it's like as big as maybe I don't know, I want to say it's not even quite as big as a quarter. It's almost as big as a quarter. It's really skinny. It has this little magnet on it. And if you guys are ever looking to do your own YouTube channel, like I was talking to Streeper about doing a YouTube channel about his automotive stuff, right? You can clip this thing with this magnet to your lapel, or like even goes, it's thick enough to go through the magnet, strong enough to go through the bill of a hat. And you guys know that's this little thing that's always on my hat. What a good microphone setup. Plugs right into your cell phone. And it's like $100. Pretty cool. Yeah, Taylor, I was saying we do need to do a group workout once a week. Yeah, 100%. I'm super down. And sometime next week, we're going to do a workout with Andy because Andy wanted to find out, can we do like a full workout and really start to get jacked? And can we put a real heavy workout in with only a set of 15-pound dumbbells and a chair? So for somebody who doesn't even have a bench, just has a chair, can we do a real full body workout with just a set of 15-pound dumbbells and a chair? So we were planning on trying to do that. I'm waiting for Andy's confirmation on what day next week he wants that to be the meeting. And we're going to try to do that. But yeah, I think a group workout would be awesome for those people that could take the time from 6:45 to 8 a.m. Pacific time to work out with me. That would be epic. You're out now. What does that mean, Andy? You're out now? Where are you out to? Where are you out to? All right. So let's get right to it, right? So, like as I was saying, Taylor, you could invite people on here and we talk straight up about note investing, education while we lift. So we're gonna get to this pull day. I'm not gonna do a ton of workout today, guys. That's why I'm able to talk to you a little bit more. Um, Sometimes your body needs a little bit of a rest for your muscles to recoup well. So we're doing a little bit of a pulling day today. We're gonna get our muscles going, our muscles burning. We're gonna get cracking, but we're not gonna go crazy heavy and we're not gonna go nuts. So that's what we're going to do is talk about the 5 different ways to make money in notes. I'm going to go over the 5 real quick and then we're going to break them all down so that you guys know what you might be able to ask questions about. But the 5 ways to make money in notes are as such. Number 1, you can broker notes. So you can actually find a good note out there on the marketplace that's for sale. You can make a relationship with a note buyer and you can be the intermediary and get the note from the seller and send that information to the buyer and just be the intermediary. All you can do is link up a note for sale with a note buyer, be the person linking them two up because you're the person that was able to just find the note that was for sale. And then if that person buys it from the other, you can make a broker fee. Okay. So you don't even have to buy notes, guys. If you just get in the game and know where to find them, that could be a skill you learn of knowing where to find notes and just be on the prowl for good ones. Make connections with note sellers that may send you some stuff to look at that's for sale. And then you build a little bit of a network of people like me that are note buyers. You already know one, that's me. So if you guys found a note there on the marketplace and you brought it my direction and my fund purchased it, you would make some moolah. So there's a broker fee that you make when you link up a buyer and a seller and they do a transaction. As long as you've done things correctly, which I can teach you how to do, um, to make sure they don't go around you. But yeah, you get a broker contract in place and so forth, and get the buyer to sign your broker contract before he's able to see the inventory that you send him. And so the buyer of that note would be responsible to pay you the broker fee if that buyer was to purchase such note. So you can broker. That's number one. Number two, you can invest in notes. Investor means that you have your own money. Okay. That's what an investor does. An investor invests their own money. Um, yeah, like making a spread, but it's just a broker fee. It's not a spread. So I don't want to get language confused. Dexter was asking, do you mean like a spread? I mean that if note seller A, and we're back to brokering real quick to answer Dexter's question, but note seller A, okay, who has a note for sale, sells that note to your buyer because you're the person that knows the buyer of the note. You're the person that found the note from the seller. They don't know each other yet. And you're the person saying to the buyer of the note, hey, I happen to have some inventory available that I'm brokering. Do you want to take a look at what I have? This buyer says, yes, I'll take a look, and purchases the note from the seller. It wasn't that there was a spread there. It was just that the buyer owes you a certain amount of money now. The buyer of the note owes you what we would call a broker fee. And those broker fees are negotiable. Sometimes they're a flat fee, like $1,500. If you buy one of my notes, I make a $1,500 broker fee. There's a flat fee. And sometimes it's a percentage take of the transaction. It might be 1% to 3% of the transaction, 3% more likely. Okay. So that would just be a fee that the buyer of the note would pay you. So the buyer would not only have to remember he's buying the note for whatever price it is, and then also having to cut you a check. So the buyer's got to put that into their due diligence and purchase criteria. Uh, so then there's note investing. Note investing is when somebody has their own money, right? They're an investor. That means they have their own money. And oftentimes people think they need to broker notes for a long time to stack up extra cash so that they can finally be a note investor. Okay. Fair enough. But if somebody has their own money, that's number two, note investor. Number three is professional note investor. The reason I say professional and we give a pro classification is because it's somebody that who is a note investor. They're buying notes themselves. They're a note investor, but they are able to learn the skill of using other people's money to be able to do so. So we've got a note broker, number one, a note investor that uses their own money, number two, and number three, a professional note investor. And they get the pro title because they learn how to leverage other people's money. Okay. And then you could graduate up to a note dealer. A note dealer, different than a note broker. A note dealer is somebody that has mastered the space enough to be able to purchase notes with their own money, purchase their notes with other people's money. They understand how to purchase and sell partials of notes. And they understand how to flip notes. Now we're talking about a spread, Dexter. So instead of just brokering, you could actually buy a note and then resell it. That's different because you actually took legal documented ownership of such asset and then resold it. You're not brokering where you're stepped aside. You're actually in the mix. You're buying the note and then reselling it for more so you can make profit, right? Let's say I bought a note for $50,000 last week and I sold it this week for $55,000. That means I owned the note only for 1 week, but I owned it, right? By way of legal documentation. I didn't broker it, I bought it. So I owned the asset and then resold it for more money. That could be a note flip. So you start to learn the game of Could I broker notes if I don't have the availability of capital to buy them? Could I broker them to another note buyer and make some money? Certainly. If I do have my money, my own money, could I buy them? Yep. If I don't have my own money, could I leverage other people's money to buy them? Yep. If I get really good at this, could I be a note dealer, which means I'm playing the game with notes all around? I'm brokering, I'm buying, I'm flipping, I'm doing this, just moving paper, buying notes that way, right? And then number 5 is you could be a fund manager. And that's when you get to another level to where you're really pooling lots of other people's money together and being the manager of all that money and doing what you do best as a pro, as a dealer, as somebody that's elevated in the note space and knows how to play the game. And now you are a fund manager where maybe you could raise $5 million or $10 million and you could put that to work in note investing. So you guys got that? That's the rundown. So we're going to go over each of those and talk about them in more detail. And you guys are free to ask questions and chime in. But you got broker, investor, professional investor, dealer, and fund manager. That's what we're going to talk about, those 5 different ways to make money in notes while I get my little workout in. So hopefully that is enlightening already, and you guys understand the difference between all those. What do you think about those ways? Does any of those ways to you, does that draw up any questions? Are you saying, what does he mean about that? But do you guys understand what I'm saying? What's up, NJ? How you doing? So we're talking about the 5 ways to make money in notes today, NJ. And the number one way, I shouldn't say the number one way. I would just say the first way that I'm mentioning, is brokering notes. So when you broker notes, you don't participate at all in the transaction. What a note broker would do, kind of primary skill set as a note broker, is this. You would obviously have your number one skill set as a note broker to be build up a network, build relationships, and build up a network of note sellers. People that are in the note game that are selling assets, buy, sell, and trade assets. So we build up a relationship of note sellers. Also, too, you'd probably want to build up a nice book of note buyers. Of course, that would be the job. And once a note broker has done that work, which is to build up a network of note sellers and a network of note buyers, that makes a valuable note broker because you're valuable to the note sellers because you have a large network of buyers. You're valuable to the buyers because you have a large network of sellers. And as the broker, both of these people rely upon you to buy and sell mortgage notes. And if you can become a known broker and you can make good relationships on both sides, you can make pretty good money. You know, it might be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 per transaction. It's sort of like the wholesaling of real estate, I guess. You're not involved in the transaction. The buyer and the seller are doing their own deal. But because you put them together and had a broker contract in there, if they do any transactions with one another, you get paid out. So brokering's pretty cool. Now, a lot of people start there, and that's okay. What can you imagine bad would happen if your first play in the business was to get in the game and start building relationships with note sellers and note buyers? That's not the hardest thing to do. You can find note sellers and note buyers online. You can also go to these little conferences they have across the United States if you like to go to places and do that. Worked out a couple hours ago, so now just walking around this big ass building. Good for you, NJ. So I weighed on the scale this morning, you guys. And by the way, you're obviously going to usually weigh the least amount as soon as you wake up in the morning and you haven't had a glass of water, breakfast, or nothing. You're somewhat fasted from sleeping. You're somewhat dehydrated from sleeping. And so when you get up in the morning and you weigh yourself, that's going to be, if you do this habitually and you weigh yourself kind of at the same time every morning, that's a good way to judge your actual progress because weight can fluctuate 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds in one day. Okay. Your weight can fluctuate. But if you're weighing yourself every morning at 6 a.m., right, that kind of thing, then it's a good judge of progress. I'll tell you what, I was so stoked. I weighed myself this morning. NJ, I was 162. When we started this, guys, 32, 33 days ago, I was 172. So, I mean, I think it's like I've lost about 9 pounds if you use the decimals properly. It's not quite 10, but I've lost about 9 pounds, guys, in the last 32, 33 days with different eating habits, different disciplines. Yeah, it is really good. It is really good. And you guys know the reason I did this was to try to get six-pack abs. So even though it's been taking a little bit away from my muscle tone, not too badly, you know what I mean? Still rocking it, but it's because I'm keeping up on the very high protein count. So with that high protein, look, isn't that crazy? It's actually coming true. I'm starting to see these little side muscles that haven't showed up in years. You know what I mean? We're not there yet. We're not there yet. But like I said, the compounding effect, I can't wait to see what it is in day 60. I can't wait to see where we're at in day 60. Yep, water weight gone, inflammation gone, right? And that's why I think folks like Andy are saying, that's why I think folks like Andy are starting to say he's feeling a clearer head, right? Like more clear mentally. It's because you don't have the sugar fog. No, it's all right, Andy. I know you got calls to make, brother. You don't need to be chiming in. It's all good, dude. You're here, you're listening. But yeah, good progress, man. From 172 down to 162. It has been it has been over 20 years. It's been over 20 years since I was in the 150s anywhere. So guys, it'll be a huge accomplishment when I get to 159 pounds. 3 pounds away. 3 pounds away from 159. When I break underneath 160, that's going to be the first time in many years that I've been that light. So it's really working, you guys. It's really working. But yeah, so you can broker notes, You can broker notes. Oh, isn't that cool though? You could just make relationships with note sellers and with note buyers. You could be the intermediary, just make them meet each other. Literally, hey, Fred, this is Joe. Joe, Fred. And they do a transaction and you get paid money. Pretty good, right? Pretty good. Now, what about being an investor? There's people that don't even know that they have money. Literally, I'm saying there's people that don't even know that they have money. People don't know that they can invest their retirement accounts into notes. People don't know they can use their individual retirement account to invest into notes. They don't even know that you can do that. But they have this IRA sitting there with a bunch of money in it. Okay. People don't realize that equity, equity in a house is fictitious money. A lot of people saw their equity disappear in 2008 when there was a market crash. So equity is fairy tale money on paper, and people like to feel good about it. I only owe 100 grand on my house, man. It's worth 400,000. It's like a brag point. But if you only owe 100 grand on your house that's worth 400 grand, you have $300,000 sitting there in fairy tale money called equity. It's doing nothing for you except for being the brag point, maybe. So I teach people they can leverage their equity and utilize that money to get richer. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes people don't even know they have money. But if you help somebody find money, dude, sell the motorhome, man. You only use it once a year. It just sits there, right? Sell the motorhome. Sell the boat, man. You only take it out once a year. You could rent a boat, charter a boat for that one time per year that you go boating now. The boat just sits there. Here you have $300,000 in equity in your house. It's just sitting there. Here your IRA is earning 2.5% diversified across the stock market, and you didn't even know you could use that money to your benefit, right? Sometimes you need to help people find the money. But being a note investor means that you are investing your own money and buying notes with it. So, how does somebody stack extra cash? How does somebody do a side hustle, broker enough notes, do what they need to do? Or maybe you help people find the money. Individual retirement account, old boat, motorhome sitting there, liquidatable assets, as they may say. Oh, okay, Andy. Oh, any day. Okay, got you. Hell yeah, NJ. You cannot wait to see how much you really do lose at the end of the 60-day challenge. Yep, great progress. That's awesome, dude. I can't wait to see too. And it's not even like how much we lose. And it's not even like, did we make as much progress as we thought or we didn't or whatever. It's about did we all motivate each other to stick to some disciplined dieting and exercise routine for a 60-day time period without quitting? That's more so the challenge, isn't it? Because we can guarantee it's going to get us results. We can guarantee it's going to get us results. We don't know how much result. We can guarantee it's going to get us results though. That's the thing about sticking to it. It's the mental battle of some of this stuff that is the hardest part. Sometimes it's not the physical act, right? It's really sometimes not the physical act that's the hard part. It is all mental. And boy, oh boy, for me, it's the diet. So let's just say this. Let's just say somebody got in the game. When I say get in the game, somebody got in the game, they got the expertise. Somebody learned about these things we call mortgage notes, okay? So somebody got in the game, somebody learned. Somebody could do note brokering right away. Doesn't take a license in many areas. It just depends on where you live or where you're brokering the notes, stuff like that. There's some legalities to look at, but that's a part of the expertise. But we could broker some notes right away just by knowing some note buyers and some note sellers. Bada boom, start making extra side hustle cash, guys, just by looking on your computer at night, finding notes, talking to people like me who are buyers, making relationships. It'll take a minute, but after a while you can make some extra cash, couple extra $1,000 a month just by linking people together. So you can do that. Maybe you need to be taught that you can find money. Maybe you have equity in your house. Maybe you have a boat that's been sitting there forever you don't use enough. Maybe this, maybe that. So maybe there's things where you need to liquidate some assets or leverage some assets, and you can get some tangible capital that you can invest yourself into notes, and you'd be the note investor. But then let's go this pro status. Pro status means if you're a professional note investor, you can buy up notes with other people's money. Now, think of the advantage you have here of utilizing the skill and knowledge of how to raise capital from other human beings on the planet. Then it doesn't put any restrictions on how quickly you can move towards financial freedom in acquiring these assets a little more regularly, right? Like I always talk about putting people on a plan to purchase one note per month. If you just bought one note per month, even using other people's money, but you bought one note per month, generally people achieve within 24 to 36 months achieve a level of financial freedom they never thought possible in their lives. They can quit their job, they can retire, they can go now use the boat more than once a year. uh, you know what I'm saying? So the reason I give a professional title is that you've obviously gotten enough expertise under your belt, you have enough guidance, you have enough training to not only be able to raise private capital, but to be able to work the note business like you would as a broker, but on steroids, or as a note investor, but on steroids. You're still making relationships with note buyer or note sellers, right? Except for now, you're not linking up the note sellers with other buyers. You're trying to make relationships with note sellers because you're the buyer and you have cash to deploy. And now they're sending you these assets and you're able to buy as many as you want. The only restriction is how much money you can or can't raise, if that makes sense. Okay. If you don't raise any money, I guess if you don't have any money and you don't raise any money from anybody else this month, then I guess you don't get to buy a note this month. So your job becomes not only knowing where to get these notes and making some of those relationships, but also learning the skills to raise private capital from other human beings. If you can do that and you could buy, say, one note per month, you're a pro. Right? You're a professional. If you're buying one asset per month, would you agree you're a pro? That's like somebody who's trying to flip one house a month as a house flipper. They're not using their own money to do that kind of scale. So if you learn how to raise private capital and you got yourself on track to like buy more of these assets than just one or two of them, Maybe you started to buy one note per month. If you got yourself on the track to buy one note per month with other people's money, it would be just 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years, and you're financially free. That's crazy to say. I don't know if there's like lots of other things we could talk about where you do one transaction per month. That's it. And then in 36 months from now, you never have to work again. It sounds weird. It doesn't even sound right, but that's the truth. So people want to go to number three, which is a professional note investor, as quickly as possible. What I help people try to do is I help people try to bypass and skip step number one and step number two. Now, if somebody does have a lot of their own money to invest, I always go to step number two first because they can buy a couple of notes with their own money and really get experience that way and move fast. But some of the students that come work with me don't have lots of money at all. Okay. So I try to help people skip step one, which is brokering, and skip step two, unless you have lots of money. If you don't have much money, of course, you can't do step two, which is to use your own money to invest in the notes and be an investor. But everybody can do step three, which is learn all the expertise needed to raise private capital and acquire these assets. And if you do that, then you can skip right to step three and become a pro note investor fairly quickly. And this is how we try to get people to reach a level of financial freedom they never thought possible within about a 2 to 3 year time period. Now we're doing a 60-day fitness challenge. I'm trying to ask people to be financially dedicated and work on it for 2 to 3 years. And you guys realize most people are scared of that, which is so alarming to me. People will work for 40 years at a job they don't like to get zero financial freedom. We show people that within 3 years' time, you can be financially free. But people are afraid of the 3 years of commitment. That sounds like a long time and a lot of hard work, doesn't it? Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? But how would people like to just go straight to pro? What's now, now, now? Now, Dex. Now. Whew. Ooh, feels good. Oh, when you get the blood flowing and you get a little bit out of breath, you know it's working, baby. Now. But what do you guys think of this? I mean, if somebody could help you get to a pro note investor level pretty quickly. Yeah, I know. They want it now. People want it now, not 3 years from now. They want it now. But here's what I always remind folks. Here's what I always remind people. Just as we're seeing progress, right? With the 60-day six-pack challenge, we're not where we need to be yet because we're in the middle of a 60-day challenge. We're only on day like 32 or 33 or whatever. So we're not at the end of it yet. We didn't reach the full results we're looking for yet. But how many of us, from my wife Bethany to NJ to myself to Andy, are seeing amazing results already? Seeing this great progress, and we're only halfway through the 60-day six-pack challenge. We're already seeing amazing progress, right? The end result at day 60 is really kind of what we're aiming to find out where we get to day 60, but we're only halfway through and we are seeing major results. So think about that. When I say, hey, look, it'll take someone 3 years to become totally financially free, we don't look back and talk about month one, month two, month three, month four, and how life starts to get easier right away in the beginning. Just like in the 60-day six-pack challenge, some of us within the first week or two are starting to feel the results, feel the energy level change, starting to drop the weight, the bloat. It's all working. It's not where we want it to be yet because we're not to the end yet. Well, if we set a 36-month goal to financial freedom, we go start straight back at the beginning. Month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? In the very beginning of all that. Well, month 1, you do your first note deal. With your first note deal, you probably put $2,000 or $3,000 in your pocket up front when you do that deal. And when you do that one deal, it probably adds around $200 a month or so, just on average. Let's say $200 a month of passive cash flow to your bottom line. So just think, month 1, when you do your very first deal, you make $2,000 or $3,000 up front, and you add $200 a month of passive cash flow to your bottom line. I'm gonna ask you guys this: be honest. $200 is, we know, not a lot of money. $200, not a lot of money, but $200 per month hitting your mailbox passively every single month on the 3rd without you having to work for that $200 does start to make a change. Trust me. What do you have as a bill in your life that you pay every month that costs about $200 a month to pay the bill? Is it your cell phone bill? Is it your grocery bill? Is it your gasoline bill? Is it who knows what? I'm just saying, for you, what is the bill that costs you $200 a month? That's a naggy bill that you always have to pay. And that's $200 a month that you always have to work your ass off for to get the paycheck again to pay that. It's only $200, but you got $200 a month coming in passively now. That was only month 1. Here comes month 2. Month 2, you do another deal. You put another $2,000 or $3,000 in your pocket up front. And that's another $200 a month. So now you got $400 a month of passive cash flow coming in. $400 a month of passive cash flow coming in now after month 2. We're at the very beginning, you guys. But if I told you guys I was going to start paying you $400 a month every month on the 3rd with no work on your behalf, I'm just going to start depositing $400 a month into your bank account, you guys would probably jump for joy, wouldn't you? That's $400 a month that you don't any longer have to work for. Then guess what? Here comes month number 3, and you do another deal, and you get another $2,000 or $3,000 in your pocket up front, and then you add another $200 a month of passive cash flow. Now, after 3 months of doing this, you've got $600 per month of passive cash flow coming in. You've done 3 transactions. How about $600 a month passive cash flow? $600 a month hitting your bank account every month on the 3rd. Does this not start to seem a little bit sexier? Yay? Okay, that's the idea. That's the idea. Then you got month 4, month 5, month 6, month 7, month 8, month 9. I'm just telling you guys. For some people, it's far less than 36 months of doing this. For some people, it's about 24 months of doing this. And you got 24 times 200, which is 48. So after just 2 years, not only have you made all those front end spreads when you're doing the deals and you're making a couple extra $1,000 a month, but by the end of doing it for 24 months, you have $4,800 a month passive cash flow hitting the mailbox every month. A lot of people that you could live off that. That's only 2 years in, 24 months. Just spoke with Aaron Rodgers, and he's coming to Patrick's webinar today. Awesome. Yeah, so you guys know I do a webinar on Thursdays at 12 o'clock Pacific time, 12 noon. I call it a lunch and learn, and I go over case studies. I show some notes from my portfolio. I give an example of how we use other people's money to buy them. I show how it works for both parties. So it's a really good webinar. I break all this down in major detail on Thursdays at 12 o'clock. So that's what Andy's talking about anyway. Yeah, cell phone with accessories it pays for, right? So you guys get the point. It's like, why wouldn't I want to just try to help people if I'm a coach in the business, right? NJ likes to call me coach, right? Well, if I'm a coach in the business, I'm trying to teach people how to really do this to get financial freedom. Yeah, sure, I could help coach somebody to be a note broker. But see, when you're brokering notes, you're just making commissions. You're not adding any passive cash flow to your bottom line. And passive cash flow is what we want to build up. It's the passive monthly cash flow that sets us free, not just working for commissions. So I don't teach people much how to broker. If somebody comes to me and has lots of money of their own, of course, I'm going to push them towards investing their own money into notes first. But many people come to me and they don't have $50,000 or $100,000 to buy a note. So why wouldn't I help people graduate to number 3, which is a professional note investor, immediately, and try to teach people how to raise private capital and to do this at scale? Maybe we can buy 1 note a month. Well, if we buy 1 note a month, hey, 24, 36 months from now, it's going to be real sexy. You're going to have a real easy life financially, okay? And note dealer is just growing up from there. A note dealer has already mastered being a pro. So if you've mastered being a pro and you know how to raise capital from other people and you know how to buy these notes at scale and you can do it and you've got it dialed and you've got systems in place, then to scale further, you may need access to more money. Not one individual investor at a time, so you can do one deal at a time. Maybe you want to buy a pool of 10 notes or a pool of 20 notes, or maybe you want to start playing a little bigger in the space. You got to have access to more money. So in order for you to have, say, $1 million to deploy into notes, you might need to raise money from several other people to get to $1 million to be able to deploy $1 million. But if you've got all the skills and the network and the expertise, and you've been doing it as a pro note investor and a note dealer, then you can go to a fund manager. A fund manager just means you register with the Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC, and you register to have a fund written up by an attorney in which you are the manager of. And so it's legal documentation, and you get an operating agreement and a private placement memorandum, and all this stuff is created so that you can run an investment fund. And now with that investment fund and what you plan to do with the dollars, your job is what again? To go out to the planet and raise other people's money. But the difference is here, as a fund manager, you're raising other people's money at scale so that you can make bigger moves. Of course, with us, what that has morphed into, okay, is it went from us just buying a note to raising money from one person to buy a note and leveraging other people's money, to us starting our own note dealership where we now had some employees and we had an office and we were really trying to do a lot of volume in notes. Then we graduated up to fund management, raising capital at scale to do it at a bigger pace. And what that dumped us into, guys, was now we're building apartments from the ground up in Florida. It has nothing to do with the notes. We're building apartments from the ground up in Florida, from the connections we've made in the space, and from our ability to raise capital at scale to be able to fund something like the build of an apartment building. So you see how it's just graduated like that. And guys, I only started doing this in the very beginning. I started doing this in 2018, and I wasn't even doing yet. I was only learning. I started learning all this in 2018. I bought my first note in 2019. So from 2019 to now, I'm just trying to tell you, that's how it went for me. Now we're building apartments in Florida, 32 unit building, 48 unit building worth millions of dollars. So you think if you talked to me in 2019 and said that I'd be where I'm at today, I would have called you crazy. I would have called you crazy. I would have said, whatever drugs you're on, give me a hit of that. You know what I'm saying? So, does that sound like a fun journey? Yes, that's right. Yes, the webinar is recorded, Dexter. I usually do record it when I remember to hit the record button. But yeah, I usually try to record every webinar. There was one or two I missed because I just forgot to record it. But I do record them, and I will record today's webinar. Taylor, you forgot broker first. Yeah, yep, but I did. Yeah, you're exactly right. Actually, I never brokered any notes, so you actually did put it correctly there, Taylor. So Taylor was showing my journey. Excuse me. Sorry, guys, I have like a little itchy throat this morning or something from my kids. You know what I'm saying? So that is exactly the journey, Taylor. So the only reason, guys, I was able to start out as a note investor means that you have your own money to invest into notes. The only reason I was able to start off as a note investor, the only reason I had any money is because I sold my house to get into this business. So I owned my house from 2010 to 2020 or 2010 to 2019. So from 2010 to 2019, I was a homeowner. I built up a lot of equity by owning that house. I sold it to get into this business. So I had a little bit of cash, but I had to make huge commitments. I sold my house and put my whole life on the line for it. So I had a little bit of money. So I became a note investor because I had a little bit of money to invest, and I invested it. First thing. But then when I invested that little bit of money I had, I didn't have no more money to invest because my money was invested. So now I had to move to the pro note investor level as quickly as possible. If I wanted to continue buying these notes, which I only bought two notes with my own money, two. And then I went to pro. I had to learn how to raise private capital if I wanted to buy the third, the fourth, the fifth. Okay. So I went to pro note investor. Then I went to A note dealer. Yes, a note dealer where it's a larger system. You have to have more help, right? It's not just a onesie twosie thing. We were trying to go through volume. We were trying to buy notes, trade notes, buy and sell them, flip them, own them ourselves when we could. We were trying to spin the wheel, and whatever it landed on, we were trying to do that, right? So we had a team now of like 4 or 5 people. It was me and Desi and my wife and Pat and um, Sherry and Sarah, I think. So it was like maybe 5 or 6 people. So we had a real company now, right? Employees in an office space, and we were trying to do it at more scale. And that would be a note dealer. And we did really well with that. And so we decided to then open up our own investment fund and raise capital at scale. And then that led into not only utilizing fund capital to buy more notes, okay, but also then we got and dove into apartment development and now raising capital to build these apartment buildings as fund managers. So that was exactly my journey. And through that journey, it was from 2019 to now. Okay. So thanks for breaking that down there in the comment section, Taylor. But this is why I preach to people that it's possible for all of us to be able to do it. And I'm not saying you'd end up where I'm at today. I'm not saying that you'd have the team and the support and stuff like. I don't know where you'd end up. Some people might end up way further along than me, way further along than me in their 6 or 7 year journey, right? But that's up to you. That's up to you and how hard you're willing to work and how much more you're willing to step outside your comfort zone and how willing you are to attempt things and fail at them at first to get better at them and that kind of thing, right? It's all about you and your development, but anybody can do this. And it doesn't even have to be in notes, man. Maybe you just want to buy physical real estate. Maybe you want to stack rentals. Maybe you want to, buy existing apartment buildings and not build them. There's all sort of ways to skin the cat. But once you learn how to raise private capital, I tell you, the world opens up for you. But what do you guys think of all this? Give me some input. Ask me some questions. Your brain has to be going in some sort of direction. What was my first note? Good question, Streeper. I bought 2 notes. I bought 2 notes right away with my own money. And the first note I bought was 31,000. Here, let me just do this so I don't have to keep walking out of frame. The first note that I bought was $31,700. And for that $31,700, I got a non-performing note in Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio. Non-performing first lien in Cleveland, Ohio was the first note I ever bought. The second note I bought in like the same week or 2 time period, the second note I bought was a non-performing note in Mansalona, Michigan. So I bought 2 non-performing notes, one for 31,700 and one for 37,000 change. So I spent just shy of 70,000. First note, 31,000 and change. Second note, 37,000 and change. First was a non-performing note in Cleveland, Ohio. Second was a non-performing note in Mansalona, Michigan. Those are the first 2 notes I bought. One in Cleveland, Ohio, I lost 15 grand on it. Fully transparent. I lost $15,000 on that note. And the only reason that happened, that note became a loss, was because of COVID. Something that no one could have put into their due diligence processes. So because of COVID and the lockdown, they prevented foreclosures and evictions. So I don't know if you guys know that, but during COVID, they put a stop to foreclosures and evictions for like about a year or so, a year and a half time period. So a lender was not able to foreclose or evict anybody during that time period. So of course, many people took advantage of that, especially during COVID, because there was nothing else people could do. Weren't even allowed to go anywhere, remember? So people just got the right to squat legally. They said, nope, you can't foreclose, can't evict. You just got to sit and wait. So there was about an extra 2 year or so hold period on that asset in which caused problems. But other than that, the other one was a home run, so it equaled out. The other one I did the $37,000 note that I bought in Mansalona, Michigan. I did a $99,000 loan modification on that sucker and collected $37,000 in cash flow in 39 months and then got paid off 94 grand. So get that straight. I invested $37,000 and change into the asset. Over 39 months of holding that asset, I collected $37,000 in cash flow. Then on the 39th month, they paid the mortgage off and they owed me 94 grand at that time. So I invested 37 grand. I made back my 37 grand in the 39 months collecting the cash flow, then got paid off 94,000 at payoff. So that was one of my biggest home runs thus far in the note space, actually. So it kind of worked out for me. I lost 15 grand on one and I gained 100,000 on the other. So it was pretty good deal. But that was my experience as far as when I put my very first bit of my own money into the note space. And so you guys know it was a riskier play for me when I was new in the space. It was a riskier play for me to go directly into non-performing notes, because with non-performing notes, you're getting into a bit of a riskier situation that you don't know the end result of quite yet. Whereas I sort of have my predictable outcomes with performing notes, so to speak. But in some of these non-performing note deals, you are taking a bit of a risk. But as you can see, sometimes they can be home runs. That's why people do the non-performing game. Hope that answered your question, Street. Throw some fives on here. I'm gonna try something new today. Try something new today that I saw online last night, and I thought, oh, my pulley machine can do that. And is these kind of reverse lateral raises, and I'm sure it's going to burn the crap out of my shoulder. So I put some light weight on here just to find out what happens with this little exercise. Being that this is the first time I've ever tried this, so you guys are doing a little bit of an experiment with me this morning on this here exercise. So bear with me for a sec, trying to get it set up. But I got some action right here. Taylor says, in the due diligence process, can you speak to the owner of the house and negotiate with them? In the due diligence process, you cannot. You cannot. So when you are in the due diligence process and you're considering buying a note, no, you cannot talk to the borrower. If that was your question that you were asking, I believe it was. You cannot. Let's see. I'm going to try these handles. Probably better. Nope. So you cannot. And also you cannot go inside the house. So you can't get an actual, as Taylor's in the real estate space, you guys. So Taylor understands fully what an appraisal is, to get a real appraisal on value. To get a real appraisal, usually people go inside the house, right? Take pictures of the inside and all that stuff. So we can't go inside of a property in the due diligence process, only from the outside. And of course, you can't hop people's fence, go in the backyard and all that. So it's pretty much from the street is the access we get to do the due diligence. That's tough to say. The access we get to do the due diligence in the due diligence process is just a BPO agent, a real estate agent like you, Taylor, going by, do BPO, taking fresh photographs from any angles they can get from the outside street. Definitely not walking up and knocking on the door and talking to nobody, nothing like that. Just outside photographs and running comps and doing all that stuff to try to give you the best assessment of the value of the property. And that's why they call it a broker's price opinion. It's not an appraisal. It makes a non-performing note kind of tricky, huh? Well, yeah, it requires more expertise, more work, more knowledge, more more ways you can know how to pivot, right? So yeah, it is a little bit more advanced and a little bit more risky to go after non-performing notes. Now, because it's more advanced and because it's more risky, don't you know what happens? Generally, then the ones that are winners are real winners, right? They people make a lot of money in the non-performing note space, but it's not something that you normally would do. And I don't coach my students to do this at all. It's not something you would normally do like I did, which is to start out right out of the gate and buy two non-performing notes as your first experience in the game. I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, it happened to have worked out for me, but also it could have been disastrous, right? Because on a 31,000 note purchase, I lost 15 grand. That makes sense. So I put in 31,000 and got back 16,000 on that note deal. Now, if the other note would have gone bad too, I would have been pissed and I would have been in bad shape and it would have been a bad experience. And I probably would have been all like discouraged about notes, right? So I don't let people get into the game like that. It's generally not the smartest thing. That was just what I did because I was in sort of a desperation mode at that time. I was in desperation mode, as they say. This has got to be pretty hard, huh? Oh yeah, that's too heavy. I can't even do that. Yikes. Wait, maybe I can. Nope. Holy moly. That is way heavier than I assumed. Damn, Gina. That hurts the shoulders. She. All right, let's try that. Yeah, let me put this a little bit closer. You guys will have to put up with my working out face, but you had Bill Belichick as your coach. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So that is a good point. I That's a good point that Desi's making. Desi knows my coach. Or Desi. Dexter. God, I keep doing that, don't I? Dexter knows my mentor. And what Dexter is saying is, I had Bill Belichick as a coach saying that, oh my God, that's harder than I thought. Oh, that one hurts the shoulder. I don't think I can do that with my right shoulder. That sucks. I really wanted to be able to do that. Maybe I just need some juice. Hold on, guys. Let me show you what we do. Let me show you what we do at this home gym. What you need? Your shoes? Oh, I don't know where her shoes are at. Check this out. This is so funny. I got to show you guys this. You guys know what this stuff is, don't you? sometimes my little, sometimes those little bars need a little juice on them, like so. Sometimes that's all it takes, a little of the WD. Sometimes that grease gets a little bit sticky. I didn't buy the most expensive pulley machine setup on the market. You know what I'm saying? I'm frugal. So I bought one that works, but those little poles get a little bit sticky sometimes. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know what you said before that, Andy. Let me see if I can go backwards and see. Andy just spoke with Aaron Rodgers. He's attending the webinar. I'll remind you today. What are you reminding me of? I was a little confused there. All right, let's see if my shoulder can take this thing now. Let's see. All right. Give it a little grease. All right. All right. That should be a lot better. Sorry. Thanks for putting up with my gym equipment adjustment. But I just wanted to do this, and it's so hard. Now I know why. Ugh. Okay. Ugh. What are you reminding me of today, Andy? Ugh. Ugh. That's hard, boys. Woo. Oh, that's hard. Yikes. I don't think we're going to do much of those. My bad shoulder doesn't like it. Oh well, we tried. That's tough exercise. Maybe it's just because my pulling machine's kind of junky. Could be it too. Could be it too, but it does the job. You know what I'm saying? What are you going to remind me of today? You're right, Dexter. I did have a Bill Belichick as a coach, but that goes to show you guys, if you have the right mentor, you can advance in the space 10 times faster than other people could. Mentors are pretty important. And I did have Bill Belichick as my mentor, for real. Dexter's not lying. Dexter's just saying I had one of the best note investing coaches in the industry. And I did. That's why we started Note Investor University together. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to have you guys just a quick chance to conversate, ask any last questions and this and that and the other. And then I got to get off of this darn video because I got to go do a real workout now. My body feels ready. So I'm going to do some lat pull downs and some seated rows and some curls. So those are my next 3 exercises that I'm going to do. And as you guys know, I'm going to add those hanging leg lifts into my exercises so that I can increase my ab muscles. So if you're going to lose body fat, you lose the body fat, then it's going to make your abs show up. But my question is, what abs do I have underneath the layer of flubber that are going to show up? So I'm going to be doing some strengthening of my abs pretty much in every workout. And so that's what I'm going to do, guys. So I'm going to finish off with lat pull downs, seated rows, curls, and hanging leg lifts. All right. So we'll see you guys. I have the webinar at 12 o'clock Pacific time if you want to join. And I will see you guys there. And we'll be back tomorrow, guys. We're going to do some light bench presses and some workouts of a pushing day tomorrow. And we'll talk some more financial intelligence. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video today, the live of the 5 different ways you can make money in note investing. And just as a quick recap for you, again, we could broker notes. We can invest in them with our own money. We can be a pro note investor utilizing OPM. We can be a note dealer, and we can be a fund manager. So guys, hope it was awesome. And we'll see you guys back tomorrow morning, 6:45 to 8 a.m. See you tomorrow.